Somewhere in China, an army of 8,000 soldiers has been standing in perfect formation for over 2,000 years. None of them are alive. None of them ever were. In 1974, a group of farmers digging a well, desperate for water during a drought, hit something solid. A face made of clay stared back at them from the dirt. They had no idea they'd just stumbled onto one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in human history. Buried beneath their feet was an entire army, not real soldiers, clay ones. Thousands of them, standing in perfect battle formation, exactly where they'd been placed over 2,000 years earlier. This was the army of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China, and he built it for one reason: he was terrified of dying. Qin Shi Huang didn't just want to rule China in life, he wanted to keep ruling it after death. So he ordered the construction of an entire army to protect him in the afterlife. Not a few statues, an army. Archaeologists estimate the pits contain around 8,000 life-size soldiers, plus 130 chariots, plus over 600 horses. Each soldier stands roughly 6 feet tall, made entirely of fired clay. Here's the detail that still amazes researchers today. No two faces are exactly the same. Different expressions, different hairstyles, different details in the armor. For a long time, people assumed each one was based on a real soldier. The truth is stranger than that. Workers used a small number of mold types, possibly just 8, to shape the basic heads. Then, by hand, they added unique details to each one afterward. It was mass production, combined with individual customization. Basically, an assembly line built 2,000 years before assembly lines existed. Building this required staggering manpower. Historical records suggest around 700,000 laborers worked on the emperor's tomb complex. Many of them were forced into the labor, not volunteers. Some sources suggest workers were killed deliberately to protect the secret location of the tomb. This wasn't built with comfort or mercy in mind. It was built with obsession. The soldiers weren't just for show either. Most originally held real weapons, actual bronze swords, spears, and crossbows. Over 40,000 bronze weapons have been recovered from the site so far. Most of the wooden weapon handles have rotted away after 2,000 years underground, but the metal blades survived almost perfectly preserved. And this army is just one small part of a much larger complex. The full necropolis is estimated to cover nearly 38 square miles. Underground stables, bronze chariots, even a zoo for exotic animals built for the afterlife. But the strangest part of this story isn't even the army. It's what's still sealed underground, untouched. According to a historian writing a century after the emperor's death, the actual tomb held something extraordinary. Rivers of liquid mercury, engineered to flow and mimic real rivers across a map of the empire. For centuries, historians dismissed this as exaggeration, a myth added to flatter a dead emperor. Then, in the 1980s, scientists tested the soil above the tomb. The mercury levels came back abnormally, dangerously high. The old story may not have been a myth at all. And yet, despite knowing this, archaeologists have never opened the actual burial chamber. Not out of superstition, out of fear of what excavation might destroy or release. So, somewhere beneath that hill in China, an emperor still lies completely undisturbed, surrounded by an army that never fought a single battle. Thousands of soldiers, frozen in formation, guarding an afterlife that never needed defending. All built because one man couldn't accept that even an emperor eventually dies. In the end, his armies couldn't stop death, but his obsession with avoiding it left behind one of the greatest archaeological treasures the world has ever seen.